Hi everyone, thank you very much for watching this video and for subscribing to my channel. So I wanted to make this video to show everything from the start, from the first time configuration of the Falcon controller, how you add it to your network, also all the basic configuration of the ports and channels needed. Also, we're going to go into xLight and create a very simple show, just a mega tree and a couple of singing figures, and we're going to configure xLight to send all the data to our controller. So I hope you like this video. So let's get started. Okay, so here we have the Falcon controller. So what I did is I connected an Ethernet cable to the Ethernet port 0 going to the back of my router, to one of the Ethernet ports on the back. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to power it up and see what we get. All right, so it's booting. Takes only a few seconds. And I got IP address 10.0.0.85. So now chances are that you're going to get another IP address, and that's coming from your router. So because I have the different setup, I get this number. So now that we got that number, all we have to do is go to our computer and open the browser using that IP address. So let's do that. Okay, so now that we have our controller in our network, we can start the basic configuration of it. But before we do so, I want to explain some terminology that we're going to be using, and sometimes it's a little bit confusing. So first of all, you're going to hear the word universes. The people who made the controller came up with this word in a way of grouping a set of lights in the controller. For me, it makes no sense. So what I'm going to show you is just a set and forget way of configuring these universes, which is just, like I said, a grouping of channels, of lights, which is basically each universe can hold 170 lights. But I find it really confusing, and I rather use channel by its numbers. And this is what I'm going to explain to you right away. So if you look at this diagram on the back, I have basically just a basic layout. We have Falcon controller, and then in this example, let's say that we have 2 singing trees and 1 snowflake. Now, think of this as a long string of lights. For example, let's think that our first tree is made up of 50 lights, and then we have a cable that jumps to our second tree, which has another 50 lights, and then we jump from here to a snowflakes that might have 100, 200 lights. We don't know how many they do. So it doesn't mean that you can connect only one element per port. No. You can connect as many as you want, as long as you don't go over 1,024 lights per port. So basically, you're going to end up with a long string of lights, and each set of strings is making up an element. So now, channels is a way to reference a single light or a start or end of our elements. So in this example, our first element has 50 lights. So the first light is going to use channel 1, 2, and 3. The second light is going to use channel 4, 5, and 6, and so on until our light number 50 is going to be using channel 148 to 150. And remember, each light uses 3 channels: red, green, and blue. And that's how the controller sets the lights and the color of each of those lights. So tree number 2, which is going to jump from LED number 50 to light number 51, is going to start where we ended up on our last light. It ended up on channel 150. So that means that if I want to reference our tree number 2 Well, it starts at channel 151, yeah, it starts at what channel 151, and this light is going to use channel 151, 152, and 153, and light number 100, because remember we are in one string. Light 100 is gonna end on channel 300. So this light is gonna use channel 298, 299, and 300. Now, if we jump to a snowflake, then the snowflake is going to start on channel 301, right? And that's how we reference each element by its channel, where the channel where the element starts. Or xLight let us do some other settings. We can tell, well, tree number 2 starts at the end of tree number 1. That's another way that we can do it. So just pause the video, get a full understanding of how the channel works, so the setup that I'm just gonna do makes sense to you. Okay, so with that being said, let's go into our controller. So we know that it's sitting on IP 10.0.0.85. And there we go. This is a first time setup of our controller. And there's only 2 places that we're gonna set up some things in the controller. The first one is gonna be our E131 ARNet page. So we're gonna jump into here. And this is the universe I was talking about. Right now it has 32 universes defined. We know the Falcon controller can hold 96 universes. So this is just one part of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete them all and define all 96 universes that we're going to be using forever, right? Like I said, this is going to be a set and forget. You're just going to do it once, and then you're never going to have to come back to this page. So I'm going to delete them all. And I'm gonna add universes. So the first universe is number 1, and I'm gonna have 96 universes starting in channel 1, and the size is 510 channels per universes. And I'm gonna explain this in a bit. So I'm gonna click add. So now we have 96 universes with 510 channels each, and I'm gonna save them. Okay, gonna refresh, and there we go. So now let's take a look at this last number. It says that we have 48,960 channels. Let me bring up the calculator. So if we divide that number, 48,960 divided by 3, because each light uses 3 channels, then we have 6,320 lights that we can control with this controller. Well, makes sense, right? We know that it controls over 60,000 lights. So we are set. That's it. Now, some people is going to say, wait a minute, but I thought that we can have 512 channels per universe. Yes, yeah, you can. But the problem here is that if I have 512 channels, and I know that each light uses 3, then we're gonna end up with 160.6 lights. It doesn't make sense. You cannot have half a light on a universes. So that's why we put 510 divided by 3. So now we have 170 lights per universe. So now that we're done here, like I said, save and forget. So now the next part is go into our string ports. Now the initial configuration is that we have a 50 pixel count per port, meaning that I have a string of 50 on on each of the ports, which is, no, we don't have anything right now. It's empty, no. And here we have all the ports, the port numbers, 1 through 16. So the first initial thing that we're going to do, we're just going to change everything to be a 1. We're going to start 1, so we can pretty much just delete the whole thing. We cannot make a 0, it will send out a message. If I try to make a 0, it goes red, so we're going to put 1. And the pixel count, we got 0. We have nothing. So the channels are just going blank, so we have nothing in here. So let's do this for the first time. I'm going to save it. There we go. Okay, we got nothing. Now, some people think that the first thing you do is go into xLight and start drawing things and adding all the elements and components and all kind of stuff. And then you go into your controller and start adding stuff. Well, it's not that way. It actually works backwards. And the reason is that you need to think ahead of time, where are you going to place your elements outside your house? How many lights you're going to have on one side of your house and how many elements you're going to have on the other side of the house. So you can decide how many can you connect to port number 1, which is facing your right side of the house, and how many lights you're going to have on the other side of the house, which might be 50 feet away from one of the elements on the other side. And you can't just jump 100 feet to your element on the other side of the house. So basically we're going to do it this way. We're going to start defining our elements here, and then we're going to go to xLights and create our elements and let them know on which channel each element starts. So basically, if you recall from my video where I create the mega tree, I'm using 1200 lights divided in 2 ports. Why in 2 ports? Well, because if I put 1200 in here, and I'm sorry, it's channel number 1, and I have 1200, well, you cannot have 1200. We're limited to 1024 lights, right? So what I did is I said, well, I'm going to have half in here, and I'm going to have the other half in port number 2. So I have another 600 on port number 2, right? Now, if you notice, the controller is actually calculating the end channel in here. So it ends on channel 1800. So that means that this one starts in 1801, 600 lights, and it ends up in channel 3600. So if we go back to our calculator, I'm just proving these numbers. So it says that it's going to be using 3600 channels divided by 12. We know that each has 3 channels. I ended up with 1200 lights. So that's how the channel thing works, So now it knows that port number 1 has 60 lights and port number 2 has another 60 lights, and it's going to start at the end of this channel. Okay. Now, what is this group count? So this group count only tells the controller how many pixels or lights they're going to lit at one time. So each light is made up of 1. If you want some of your props or some of the elements to light up 2 LEDs at a time as 1, then you're going to put a number 2. So now let's say that instead of having 600, you're going to have 300 because 2 of them are going to lit together. But default is just 1. So I just wanted you to know what is that group count. Now, so we're done with our mega tree. Port number 1 and port number 2, each with 600 lights. Now, let's go back to our drawing. So now let's say that we're going to have a tree that's going to be followed by another tree. Now in this example I have 50 lights, but the real size is 229. That's the number of LEDs that the Boscoyo singing tree takes. So we're gonna come back here and I'm gonna say, well, on port number 3, starting on channel 3601, right, because that's the end channel, I'm gonna have 229 lights. Okay, and after that I'm gonna click the plus sign. I'm gonna add a virtual string, which means that after this one I'm gonna have another element which starts on channel 4288 with another 229 lights, and it's gonna end up on channel 4974. And that's it. Now xLight knows where you have each element connected to. Okay, now since I have these two elements in one port, that means that at the end of the first element, just like in our diagram, we're gonna make a cable and we're gonna jump to the tree number 2. All right, and that's it. If you want to keep adding stuff, you can keep adding. You click the plus sign and you keep adding stuff. Now think of this. I mean, since we only have 16 ports, we need to make a good use of each of those ports, knowing that we can control 1024 lights. Meaning that if you can keep adding elements to this same port, well, you're saving, because right now we're only using 400 plus lights in one port. So we can still use around 600 lights more in one port. Now I have a small show, so basically I'm only using like 7 ports, and I'm not worried about optimizing the number of lights that I have per port, because I don't need it. I want to keep it clean and simple. Maybe in the future, when I keep adding more elements to my show, I'm gonna have to come here and redo the whole settings, because I might have 6 or 7 elements in one port. But right now, this is my setting so far. Okay, so now that we have this, we're just gonna make sure that we save it, and we are done with the controller. That's it. Oh, one more thing. You can lower the brightness to 30%. These lights are very bright. So by lowering to 30%, you're actually saving power. So you will need to inject less power, or the consumption is going to be less, because the brightness is going to be lower. You can start at 100 and then you can start lowering as you wish. So you can start seeing how does it feel, right, when you are running your show. Also, the direction, we got forward or reverse. It can go that way or come this way. We got the order, red, green, or blue. Red, blue, or green. It all depends the type of light that you bought. You can play around with it and see which one works for your configuration. So again, we're just going to click save, and we're done. Okay, so now let's see that configuration for this setup in xLight. Okay, now that we have the configuration of the controller, we can jump into xLights and start doing the same configuration. So if your xLight doesn't look like this, I highly recommend that you download one of the latest version so we can be in sync. So in the controller tab, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to click Add Ethernet, and it's asking for the IP address, which we know is 10.0.0.85, and we're going to have 96 universes made up 510 channels each. So that's the only setup we need to do. If you notice, we have 48,960 channels, which should be the same in our E131 tab. 48,960. So we're in sync. Both have the same number of channels. Okay, so now we can go into our layout and start, dropping our mega tree and a few singing figures. So we're gonna click in here. We're gonna place our tree in here. We're gonna change this to match what we have, what I have, which is 2 strings made up 600 lights, and I have 12 strands. So now this is my setup. And if you notice, it automatically starting on channel number 1 on our IP address, and it's taking 3600 channels, which is the same thing we have in our string ports, right? 3600 channels. So now, set and forget, this is ready. I'm ready with the tree. There was nothing else we need to do up here. So now I'm gonna add one of the singing figures. I'm gonna place it in here. I'm gonna download a singing element, and is this one. Okay, so it's 229 lights. So click OK, and we do like this. We have 2 of them, so I'm gonna click. I'm gonna copy it, Control copy, then Control V. So now I have 2 of them. I'm gonna place this one here and this one here. So this is that one, and this is this one. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna change the name to make sense. I'm gonna type key tree, and this is the she tree. Okay, so we have oh, we didn't save it. Okay, again. So this is the he, enter, and this is the she, enter. So we have a he and a she. So now let's take a closer look at the channels to make sure they match what we need. So it seems like the he tree is going to start on channel 3601, which is 3601, and it's going to end up on 4287. 4287. And then the she is going to start on 4288. 4288, and is end up on channel 4974. 4974. So that's nice, you know. It automatically defines channels that we needed. So that's great. Now, chances are yours is not going to match because you can throw them in different order. If you need to change that, all you need to do is let's go into the he and scroll down, and it says start channel. We're gonna click in here and then in here, and we can actually change the channel, you know, if you want, to whatever channel you want. I'm not gonna change it in here. Right now it's saying that it's gonna end of model 3. So this is what's happening. It notes that after the definition of the first one, which is this tree, it ends up in 3600. So now we know that after that, see how you have the tree in here. So it's saying, oh, so at the end of the tree, then I'm going to start with the he tree. And if we go into, with the he tree, if we go into the she, well, it turns out the she says that starts at the end of the model, which is the he. Okay, so now it knows automatically that it's going to jump from the he into the she tree. So that's how easy it is to set it up. Now, if you need to go straight to a specific channel because that's your setup, you know, then you can just use a absolute number, and you can come here and say, well, this is going to be on channel 3699, let's say, you know, and that's what your channel is going to start. But I'm gonna cancel from here, and we're pretty much done. Now we have our definition. Now you just double check that everything is set up the right way. There's pointing to the right channel, that it matches what we have in our stream ports at our controller, and that's it. You know, it wasn't that hard, right? Now you can always come back and keep adding, you know, and changing stuff. Just just make sure where the channel, where you have your channels defined. That's why I told you that we need to set up this first, so you can make sure on which port is going to be connected, and then you come to xLights and make those small changes on your setup of the channel where it starts. Okay, and that's pretty much it. Now from here you can start your sequence, and that's all pretty much what you have to do, right? You can start a sequence. I'm gonna start a new sequence. I'm gonna do an animation only, and not music. I'm gonna animation, 20 feet, 20 frames per second, quick start. Okay, and here I have our elements. You know, here we have. So now we can start moving. You know, adding some of the effects in here, and that's it. You know, we have, let's say, on the heat. Well, I'm gonna drop it. I'm gonna delete this one and put it on the tree, which is I'm gonna drag and drop into the tree. So now we have the tree down here. I'm gonna show you something that's gonna be cool. So now let's say that we have that right there. So if we click here, it's gonna say output to lights, which means that it's gonna send all the data to our controller. So let's see if that works. I'm gonna see if I can put this on top of this. Let me put it over here. I'm gonna go into the status. Right now, you see we have packet count of 0. I'm gonna drag this to one side. Let's put it in here, and this one, let's put it over here. So if I actually play the sequence, we should see some packets being sent to our controller. Let's see if it works. So output is sending data to our controller, and here we go. You see how this number is changing. So now the data is flowing from our controller, from xLight to our controller, and is receiving packages, which is good. Now it's working. We know it's working now, right? It keeps coming up. I'm gonna stop it, turn lights off. I'm gonna stop the whole thing, and that should stop the package count on this side, because now nothing is playing. All right, so we got a good configuration. Easy, done, we're done. All right, guys, so I hope you like my video. Please subscribe to my channel. I highly appreciate all your comments. And I think what I'm going to do next is also upload the configuration of the Raspberry Pi controller, which is going to run our show. Because in this configuration, basically what you need is your computer be on and just clicking on the lights, right? On start the show. So this is not the best way of doing it, but this is just how you can set up your controller, your xLights, your port, channels, and prove that you can send data to your elements. So thank you again very much for watching my video, and please subscribe. Thank you.